All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. Hope you're doing well. Today, people, we got to start with something serious. Whatever you do, do not look directly at Grant's head. There are some strange things being reported. One fan of the show said after accidentally staring directly at the head that the head turned into an anime character and started bouncing and whizzing around the screen. And then Christian, our resident trusty graphic designer, he reported that after accidentally staring at the head for too long that it turned into some weird elongated clown mask with a beak. And I don't know what happened to me, but I was working on this episode and I must have blacked out. And when I woke up, I was in Central Park feeding the pigeons wearing a dress and high heels. So I don't know what is going on, people, but something big. Be careful with the head. It's nothing to play with, all right? Okay, so today we're going back in. The interrogation. This is going to be about hour number 2. And the first hour was a lot of Grant not asking why he was there. It's probably the biggest weakness in what he's going with is at some point you would say, why am I here? You know? And then the first hour was him setting up his story, which that he got kicked out, met with his brother. His brother said, I will take care of it. He hammers that line home more than any other line in the first hour. I will take care of it. Suspicious meeting on the side of the road. I will take care of it. My dad's crazy. He can get violent. And he establishes that story. My dad can get crazy. He gets violent. And my brother said he'll take care of it. And that's kind of the first chunk. After they let him get that story out, then they break. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. And when they come back, you can tell that they, while reconvening, said, all right, there's no way he met with his brother. They're pretty sure that that is not right. And so when they come back from the break, they really want him to answer all the questions about that meeting that didn't happen. And he later admits it that he never met his brother on the side of the road. And so they ask him, where did you meet again on the side of the road? Where was it? They got a map. Got a map, Rusty? So they get a map and they're like, point to it. And he's just kind of being like, oh, yeah, so there's this point on the map, but we met like over here. And they're like, okay, well, where? Can you point to it? And he's just like, well, yeah, well, see, there's a guardrail. He mentions this guardrail like 4 times. He's like, okay, so there's a guardrail. Then we were probably like a mile. If you take a mile and then subtract 1 guardrail, move it, carry the light, there's always, and then that's where we met. So we can't really, it's hard to talk about a meeting like that didn't happen. And so they're making him just ramble like a murderer. Just, all right, so when did you meet again and where? Point to it. And are you sure that's where it was? What road? And so they're just making him, and he's going, yeah, so if you go over here and then there's this road, there's a guardrail. And then at some point kind of during this, one of the saddest just scenes of this whole thing, I think, he talks about how he, after leaving, after murdering his whole family, he is driving around and he messages Sylvie on Twitter. And they ask, did she respond? And he goes, yeah, she responded like 1 or 2 times. And here's the thing. If someone is talking about a girl that they're in love with, and you go, well, when you were texting her, did she respond to you? And they go, yeah, once or twice. Yeah, of course. Yeah, once or twice, that probably means once, or 2 if it was like, well, here's what I picture. And this has got to be one of the most bottomed out, sad, pathetic moments I've ever seen in my entire life. So this large-headed weirdo executes his family because they were like, can you please not talk and give all of our money to that Bulgarian woman? Please, we're stressed. I'm stressed because of this Bulgarian. Can you just not contact her? And Grant was like, nope, and kills them all. And then that night, he's driving around and he messages this Bulgarian woman. And I'm sure that the response was something like, hey, good to talk to you. Let's hop on the website so you have to pay me the $600 an hour. So just think, this guy executes his family and then he starts messaging this woman in Bulgaria that he loves, and she only responds. Like, just think how many responses if you're actually talking to someone, especially if you have a romantic relationship. I mean, it would be 50 messages in like a 5-minute period. But I'm sure Sylvie was just like, hey, yeah, Grant, hi, and then in her head, like, I don't want to talk to this little freak for free. Hey, hop on the thing. And then I'm sure he was like, yeah, I'll get on immediately. And she's like, okay, bye. And I bet those were the two. So his family, his mom that he has been supported by, that's always been there, they're gone. And now all there is this woman in Bulgaria that only responds sometime. I mean, what a feeling that had to have been. Sylvie. Okay, so then they come back from the break, and like I said, they make him ramble. Oh yeah, I do. An ending to this whole thing that I was picturing is like they bring Grant slowly into his horrific jail cell. And he just looks small and lonely, and the all white concrete walls, and he's starting to hear all the screaming and yelling and torture of just being in prison, and someone's having a psychotic break in the cell over, and someone's peeing, and just horrible prison. And he's just thinking about his family, and there's a detective looking at all the horrific bloody crime scene photos, and just Grant being lonely and scared in prison. And then all of a sudden it cuts to a woman in Bulgaria wearing all black and red lipstick, just driving, and she doesn't have a facial expression, and it just shows Grant in prison and screaming and horribleness. And then the woman driving with red lipstick, Sylvie, just cracks an evil little smile, and then it goes to black and it's credits. I wonder what she's thinking during this whole thing. Like, is that Grant guy that gave me his $200,000? Crazy. All right, so after letting him really talk about the meeting with his brother that they know is not true, and just letting him really extend that lie until there's nothing to stand on, they start the pressure a little bit. So they say, for the first time, she goes, have you wondered why we're talking? You haven't asked. So they plant that seed for the first time. Just, wouldn't you think you would ask by now why we're sitting here? If you don't know, I mean, if you do know, that makes sense. But if you don't know what happened to your family, and they really get that going. And also, I think this hour is marked by the male detective getting stuck in the loop of honesty. That's what I'm calling it. And what that looks like is anytime he gets a little bit stuck, he just goes into the loop, which is just, he'll be like, Grant, I'm an honest man. You're an honest man. I can tell you're an honest man, okay? What you've been saying is 95% honest. We need to get to, I'm honest, I've had a good career. Okay? He does this weird bragging thing where he's like, I've had a long career, an honest career. She'll tell you. He says that like 3 times. She'll tell you. I'm an honest man. I'll be honest from the day that we meet to the day that we don't meet. He's almost the opposite of the George Hughley interrogator, because you could tell the George Hughley interrogator had these lines that he practiced. He wasn't nailing them, but at least he had. So he's like, we're not here for any reason, George. We're not here to dance. He had these like go-to This guy in this one, you can tell, has nothing prepared, and he gets in trouble because he'll start and he'll think like, all right, I'm about to hit him with this big line of truth, and then you can tell he blanks, and then he kind of just has to make up a weird, so he'll be like, I'm an honest man, Grant. I've been honest since the day I started this job, and I'll be honest till the day I leave. She'll tell you. I picture every time he says she'll tell you that she just rolls her eyes like, God, this never works. Here we go again. I'll tell you. So he's like, I'm an honest man, and I live in an honest world, and he'll like, you can tell he doesn't know, and he'll just have to make up. He'll be like, and therefore the honesty is the thing that I have, and you're honest, and she'll tell you I'm honest. And he starts doing this weird thing where he kind of brags about his career. He's like, I've had a long career, an honest career. Some people say it's the best career. I don't know if I'll agree with him, but I am honest. And it just doesn't do anything. It almost could be like an SNL gag where the guy wants to confess, but he's like waiting for just a break in the constant bombardment from the interrogator. Like the skit shows him before the interrogation, like, all right, I'm gonna confess, and then he just can't get a word in. Like, I actually did no. I'm honest. You're honest. We're all honest. Take a step towards the honesty, Grant. Okay, this is the time. This is the exact time. That's what he keeps saying. He goes, this is the time, and then that doesn't work. That's not going to get anyone to confess for murder and possibly get the death penalty. I wasn't going to confess, but then the interrogator said that it was the time. And then I was like, oh, shit, is it the time? All right, I'll do it. Well, I actually didn't when he said this is the time, but then he said this is the exact time. And then I couldn't, there was nothing I could do. How can you stand against that? And so the person is just trying to, I did, okay, I'll wait. All right. Oh, yeah, I'll just wait for you to stop talking for a second. Yeah. And then the interrogator's just like, if you take honesty and subtract the honest, it's just T. And then, damn it. So he's stuck in the loop of honesty. He tries to use the cookie jar technique. If honesty is the thing, but if you get stuck in the cookie jar technique doesn't work. They have good evidence against him, too. They have the order that the family was shot. They have the fact that they know that the mom, the dad, and Cody, the brother, didn't shoot a gun because they can test the hands. You can see if they even held a gun. And they have they know that he knows something is up and hasn't asked about it. He admitted to seeing cops in a news truck out. So why, instead of doing the honestly, man, I will help you, that's another thing we'll get to. He starts being like, I'll help you until the end because I'm honestly an honest guy that's had a great career, she'll tell you. But instead of rambling along, stuck in the honesty loop, why not just lay out the evidence? Here's, I think, the best, after going through 10 million of these interrogations, slogging through. Here's, I think, the best strategy for interrogation. Just calmly lay out all of the evidence that you have in a real, honest, slow way. And after you've laid it out, you say, hi, Grant. So here's the evidence we have. Boom, 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 boom. It's our job to follow the evidence. That's what we have to do. And we would really like to eliminate you as a suspect. We honestly don't want to be talking to you in here for this long. We're all hungry. Your head is enormous. It gives me anxiety. I'll be honest with you. It does. But all this evidence points at you. So here's the evidence. We'd like to move past you. I'm sure you don't want to sit here anymore. I'm sure you want to get out there, get on the internet, send a little money to Sylvie, go on with your life. And so, what can you tell us right this second to be able to let us move past you? That's it. That's Interrogation 101. All of this, listen, man, once we're both honest and you step towards the light of honesty and we shake the honesty hand, then, I've had a good career, buddy, she'll tell you. The cookie jar, your hand's in it. At one point, he reaches forward and goes, shake the honesty hand or something. And even Grant is like, what? Okay. So he's stuck in the honesty loop. And Eva, the female detective's doing pretty good. Even at one point, he interrupts her with he interrupts Grant with the honesty thing. And then Eva shushes him and is like, so what were you saying? It's like, let him talk. Let him talk. He has to be able to talk if we want him to confess, dude. All right. And then so probably about halfway through this second hour, they destroy his story with phone records. Someone had asked in the previous episode if his phone didn't have any service, how did they have all these pings off towers? Doesn't matter. They know exactly where you are. It pings. He said, the interrogator said it. Even if you don't have service, they can track your every move. And so they say, Grant, we know that you were around the house. And then Grant admits to seeing the news van. And then, it just starts falling apart. And then they tell him, you looked up an article about a shooting, so you know all this stuff. And so his story that he met with his brother, and that his brother had said, I'll take care of it, is wilting real fast in this second hour. All right, I wrote down a couple of the male interrogator's exact lines just for the record book. And these are all delivered with this unconfidence that he's making it up in the moment. It's not. So at one point he goes, honesty will get you all the things I can do for you, to be honest. Honesty will get you all the things I can do for you, to be honest. She'll tell you. And then another great one he goes, I'll help someone till the end. Just the kind of guy I am. It's like you're doing everything you can do to get this guy to admit to something that will probably get him the death penalty. All right. And so Grant, for the first time in this second hour, doesn't have this confident, right, I'm just going to talk, just going to tell my story. Okay, let's see. All right, so this is probably the best pressure that they've put on him so far. So at this moment, they're going to tell him, even though they know, they're going to tell him that his parents and brother are dead, and they're going to see how he reacts to that, which is, if you're sitting there trying to lie your way through this is probably, acting-wise, this is the hardest part, because pretending that you just don't know anything is wrong isn't that hard, but when someone says, all right, well, we'll tell you what did happen, your family's dead, and then they just stare at you, you have to be like, what? No, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. And it's hard to pull off that type of another great quote that the guy had was, he goes, this is the time to be honest. I can help you. If after this, it will be in the hands of who has it. All right, so they confront him. They say, all right, so you saw a news van, you saw police cars, you saw an article about a shooting in your house. What do you think happened? And Grant goes, this is an insane spot to be in your life. Just what do you think happened? And he goes, I don't know the words. And Eva just goes, what are you thinking? And for the first time, he goes, that someone in my family is dead. which is pretty good on Grant's part, because if he would have said they're all dead or something, it would have been like, well, how'd you know that? So he was good about just saying that someone is dead. And then Eva goes, okay, so he goes, that someone in his family is dead. And then she goes, okay, well, how does that make you feel? And his line is, quote, I have absolutely no ability to comprehend the words. What a line. I'm going to use that one. Just really any time I do anything wrong and someone confronts me about it, like, hey, what happened with this whole thing? I'm just going to go, I have no ability to comprehend the words. Any of the words that you're saying, any of the words that I said previously to this, I just have zero ability to comprehend any of them. So, sorry. So Grant has zero ability to comprehend any of the words being said at this point, which I think is probably true. I think that's why it's worth going through these interrogations, just for lines like that. This guy had to murder his family and then have a 2-hour interrogation and have pressure and the fear of going to jail forever. And that line is what popped out. I have no ability to comprehend the words. And so then they just keep turning up the pressure, and then this hour builds and builds and peaks at Eva, the female detective, turning over massacred pictures of his family and going, is this how they looked when you left? Huh? And what they're doing with this is they're just seeing if he has a normal reaction to finding out that your parents have been massacred and seen him for the first time. And he just kind of goes, ah. And the weirdest part is he doesn't move the pictures, or he allows them to sit there, and he just rambles on like a murderer. But I'm going to cut it off there. We'll pick it up next time. That's the second hour. Honestly, you guys, I'm an honest man, and you're an honest audience, and I've had an honest time here on YouTube, and that's where we're at with honesty. Now's the time. Now is the exact time to end the episode. Why? Stiven Y. Shamita. See you next time.